You shouldn't have come back here.
They arrested me for a murder I don't remember. But the real nightmare? The police had my confession in my own voice. I still remember the night they arrested me. The rain hadn't stopped for hours, pounding against the windows of my tiny apartment in Cedar Falls, Iowa. I was halfway through a cup of cold coffee when the knock came. Sharp, impatient, final. I opened the door, and everything in my life collapsed. "Emily Carter?" the officer asked. "Yes?" "You're under arrest for the murder of Daniel Reeves." For a moment, I actually laughed. It slipped out before I could stop it. "Wait, what? That's not funny." But no one smiled. They showed me the recording, a shaky audio file played from a small device. My breath caught as I heard it. It was my voice, clear, calm, confessing. I killed Daniel Reeves. He deserved it. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I might collapse. "That's not me," I whispered. "I didn't say that." The officer's eyes didn't change. "You can explain that at the station." The interrogation room smelled like old metal and bad decisions. Detective Harris sat across from me, fingers steepled, watching me like I was already guilty. "Emily," he said, almost gently, "we have your voice confessing. We have you near the scene. Help me understand why." "I didn't kill anyone," I said, my voice shaking, "and that recording, it's fake." He leaned back slightly. "Fake? It's pretty convincing." "Because it is my voice," I snapped, "but I didn't say those words." For a second, something flickered in his expression. Doubt, or maybe curiosity. "Then who did?" he asked. I didn't have an answer. That was the worst part. They released me after 48 hours, lack of physical evidence, they said. But in Cedar Falls, that didn't matter. By the time I stepped out of the station, everyone already believed I was a killer. Neighbors avoided me. My job at the bookstore suddenly didn't need extra staff. Even my best friend Lily stopped returning my calls. And everywhere I went, I felt it. Eyes, watching, waiting for me to slip. 3 nights later, my phone rang at 2:13 a.m. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Hello?" Silence. Then, my own voice whispered back at me, "You should have finished it." I dropped the phone like it had burned me. My heart slammed against my ribs as I backed away, staring at it on the floor like it might move on its own. That wasn't a recording. That was real time. Someone was using my voice. The next morning, I went straight to the only person who hadn't completely shut me out, Detective Harris. "I'm being set up," I told him, placing my phone on his desk. "Someone called me last night with my voice." He looked tired, more tired than before. "Emily, do you have any idea how that sounds?" "Yes," I said. "Insane, I know, but it's true." He studied me for a long moment. Then, quietly, "Do you know anything about voice cloning?" I blinked. "What?" "It's new tech," he said. "AI can replicate someone's voice with enough samples, calls, videos, recordings. It builds a model." A cold wave slid down my spine. "You think someone's doing that to me?" "I think," he said carefully, "it's possible." For the first time since my arrest, I felt something shift. Hope and fear. We started digging. Everywhere I had spoken publicly, social media, voicemails, even old school presentations became evidence. Someone had been collecting my voice for years. But why me? That question haunted me until Harris found the pattern. "Daniel Reeves," he said, sliding a file across the table. "He wasn't random." I frowned. "I don't even know him." "He worked at your high school, maintenance staff, 10 years ago." My breath hitched. 10 years ago. Something stirred in the back of my mind, faint, blurry, like a dream just out of reach. I don't remember him. Maybe you should try. That night, I couldn't sleep. Memories scratched at the edges of my mind, desperate to be let in. A hallway, dim lights, a voice, a scream. I shot up in bed, gasping, and then it hit me. I wasn't the one being framed by coincidence. I was the one being silenced. The next day, I broke into the old high school. It had been abandoned for years, scheduled for demolition. Dust covered everything. The air smelled of rot and forgotten secrets. My footsteps echoed as I walked down the hallway. And then I saw it. The maintenance room. My chest tightened. I didn't know how I knew, but I did. This is where it started. Funny place to revisit. The voice came from behind me. I froze. Slowly, I turned. Mr. Callahan, the school counselor. He looked older, thinner, but his eyes were exactly the same. Calm, empty. "You remember now, don't you?" he said. My hands trembled. You killed someone?" He smiled faintly. "You weren't supposed to see that." The memory crashed into me, sharp and brutal. I was 15, staying late, walking past this very room, the door slightly open, and inside, Callahan, standing over a body, blood everywhere. "You saw me," he continued softly, "and I knew that one day you might remember." "So you framed me?" I whispered. "For 10 years, he said. "I studied you, collected your voice, built the perfect version of you." My stomach churned. "You ruined my life." "No," he corrected. "I saved mine." My heart raced, but something inside me steadied. This was it, the truth, and I wasn't going to run. "You made one mistake," I said. He tilted his head. "Oh?" I slowly reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. I recorded everything. Silence filled the room. Then, sirens, distant at first, then louder, closer. Callahan's face hardened. "You think this changes anything?" he snapped. I met his gaze, my fear burning into something stronger. For the first time, I said, "Yes." They took him away in handcuffs. This time, the whole town watched, but not with suspicion, with shock. A week later, the charges against me were dropped. Officially, I was innocent, but innocence didn't erase everything. People still stared, still whispered, still remembered. Sometimes late at night, I listened to the recording I made. His voice, confessing, clear, calm, final. Proof, truth, justice. But even now, sometimes I hear something else, echoing in my mind, my own voice, perfectly mimicked, perfectly weaponized. And I wonder, if I hadn't caught him, would I have ever convinced myself I was innocent? Because the scariest part wasn't that someone stole my voice. It's that for a while, I almost believed it was mine.